Today, it's an educational game, but maybe we can make it fun, and then we can move on with our lives, even though I'm dead. Today, it's Mario is Missing on NES. It's sort of the companion game to Mario's Time Machine. Both Mario is Missing and Mario's Time Machine also appeared on the Super Nintendo, but none of that Super Nintendo nonsense right now. It's all about the NES. Again, we have Super Mario World-esque graphics. Mario gets kidnapped by a Koopa guy, and moments later, Luigi shows up on a Yoshi. Yep, we play as Luigi, which is unfortunate since this is really the first outing where Luigi is the main guy. Options include start and continue, so let's start. Luigi and Yoshi approach a castle. Yoshi doesn't run in like an idiot like he did last time, although since we are playing these games in reverse chronological order, I guess Yoshi hasn't done that yet. Maybe this game is going to be bad enough that in the future Yoshi would just rather get kidnapped in Mario's Time Machine. I don't know. Anyway, Luigi goes inside and there are a series of red doors. We go in the first door and head down the first pipe. The first thing to note is this does not look like a traditional Mario level. The phone rings and we press start to answer it. The mayor says, "Welcome to the city," although it isn't clear where we are yet. Then the box at the top shows Yoshi walking. If we press start again, we see Yoshi on a world map. We'll get to that in a minute. If you press select now, it switches to a picture of little Luigi, and if you press start, you get an overhead map with information bubbles and Koopas. Press select again, and it switches to a question mark symbol. And as this goofy-looking citizen walks near, you're allowed to ask, "Where am I?" And you're given an answer about apple pie and baseball or something. Press select again, and you can pull up your PDA, which shows you the information that you've already received. So far, this is kind of boring, but let's figure out what we're supposed to do at least. Luckily, the run and jump controls are unchanged from previous Mario games, so you won't have to retrain your brain for that. You can walk into the foreground where a street appears. In the next road, we find a Koopa, and if we jump on him, he drops a bag. There are a total of 3 Koopas in the area, as we saw on that overhead map from before, and each drop an item, which we can then see in our inventory. Looks like King Kong grabbing a building, a lit torch, and a lion statue. Go back around town, and we find these information kiosks, but the people won't talk to us. This is where Yoshi comes back into play. Pull him up and then you can guide him through the world, and I mean the real world, Earth continents, to New York City. The shape of the continent is a little off, but whatever. Suddenly Luigi is now on Yoshi. Using the local overhead map for New York City, we make our way to the information kiosk by the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is a huge statue or sculpture gifted to the United States from France in the late 1800s. The statue is made of copper and resembles the Roman goddess Libertas, holding a torch and a tablet with July 4th, 1776, the date associated with the Declaration of Independence, inscribed in Roman numerals. The framework was built by Gustave Eiffel, who is of course known for the Eiffel Tower. The Statue of Liberty is a well-known tourist attraction, and it is located on Liberty Island. Unfortunately, the Statue of Liberty sustained some damage during the First World War, and the balcony of the torch has been closed to the public for over 100 years as a result. Which is a shame because we are returning the torch of the Statue of Liberty. I guess now would be the time to check out that torch balcony while it's still in our possession. So we select the torch and tell the kiosk person we'd like to return an item, and then she quizzes us on the item we are returning. Wow. Do you want this torch back or not? She asks what the Statue of Liberty is holding. Now, I know this is probably really easy to pretty much everyone unless they've never heard of the Statue of Liberty, of course, but this game is meant for kids. Anyway, answer the question, we are rewarded with $1,750. Wow. We hand-delivered a national monument that couldn't have possibly fit in our pockets, and our reward is $1,750. Okay, moving right along. Head over to the kiosk desk by what supposedly represents the Empire State Building, select King Kong, and once again we are getting quizzed. Now first thing is first, as the angry video game nerd pointed out in 2009, 1. The people of New York would not want King Kong back on the Empire State Building. They clearly wanted him off. 3. King Kong is not as huge as the picture indicates. 4. King Kong is part of the namesake for Donkey Kong, who exists in the Mario universe, which possibly brings a paradox into question. 6. I can't count. I would say whatever, it's just a game, but it's supposed to be an educational game. I don't imagine the people of Manhattan want to be known for King Kong being on one of their buildings. It would be insulting. Anyway, the Empire State Building is a 102-story skyscraper located in New York City and completed sometime in 1931. Just 2 years later, the 1933 movie King Kong featured Kong climbing a depiction of the Empire State Building. At the time, the Empire State Building was the tallest building in the world and remained so until the World Trade Center opened in 1970. A few other things to note, people can visit the observatories, and the building has its own zip code. The kiosk lady asks us another question, of course, to make sure we aren't returning a fraudulent Kong, and it's about the origin of the name of the Empire State Building. It is named such since New York is also known as the Empire State, a term whose meaning is clear and precise, but whose history is unclear and possibly goes back to the late 1700s in a letter written by George Washington. The next kiosk is by the Rockefeller Center, which is a complex of several buildings commissioned by the Rockefeller family in the 1930s. The number of building name changes and businesses associated with the complex over the years are quite numerous, and there are too many to go through for this video, but some worth noting are the Center Theater, which is now demolished, Radio City Music Hall, Simon & Schuster, and NBC Studios, just to name a few. The question from the kiosk lady is about the statue overlooking the skating rink, and the answer is Prometheus. The Rockefeller Center is known for its ice skating rink, however this is not the same rink seen in Home Alone 2. But the ice skating rink at Rockefeller Center does have a statue of Prometheus overlooking it. Prometheus in Greek mythology is a titan credited for bringing fire to human beings, which is interesting considering he now overlooks an ice skating rink. Now that that's over, we make our way back to a pipe, and when we go through it we are given a password, and thus we have completed the first city. Then Luigi is back in the castle. Go back through the first door, and we see the previous pipe is red, indicating that city is done. Go down the next pipe, and the citizen says he likes pasta. Naturally, they want us to think of Italy or Rome, so let's get Yoshi there. I wonder if we will run into Asterix or Obelix while we are here. The overhead map for the area shows the 3 turtles and the 3 points of interest, or kiosk things, whatever we're calling them here. So we smash our 3 Koopas, then head to this kiosk. The 3 items we can choose are a spear, money, and what looks like a paintbrush or something. The lady asks where the Sistine Chapel is located. The Sistine Chapel is a chapel located in Vatican City, which is the Pope's residence. It's most famous for the wall and ceiling paintings, or frescoes, done by several Renaissance painters, most notably Michelangelo. Or am I supposed to call him Mike? It's also the site where the new Pope is selected whenever that's supposed to happen. So we tell her that the Sistine Chapel is located in Rome, which is only sorta true, since Vatican City is independent from Italy since 1929. The only other country I know of that is completely surrounded by another single country, also known as an enclaved country, is Lesotho in South Africa. Anyway, go to the next kiosk, select the handful of money, and the lady asks what the Trevi is, and the answer is, it's a fountain. The Trevi Fountain, designed by Nicola Salvi and built in the 1700s, is a large and famous fountain located in Rome. The name is derived from trivium, no, not the band, the Latin word which means intersection of 3 streets, and the Trevi Fountain is indeed located at the intersection of 3 streets. But what were we returning? A handful of money? Wow, that Koopa was a real scumbag to steal money from a fountain. At the last spot in Rome, we head to the Colosseum to return this spear. The lady asks who would use the spear, and the answer is, of course, gladiators, and not the American variety. The Colosseum, built from 72 to 80 AD, is a giant amphitheater which housed public speeches, battle reenactments, and most famously, gladiator battles. The amphitheater could house tens of thousands of spectators, and it remains to this day the largest amphitheater in the world. Naturally, it is a well-known tourist attraction and one of the defining structures when people think of Rome, kind of like the Empire State Building. But what did we return again? A spear? Really? The Koopa stole a spear, not a gladiator's helmet or armor or even a piece of the Colosseum itself, just a spear. It seems kind of like an inconsequential theft to me. Before we go, how about we talk to a real Italian person? Excuse me, sir, are you a real Italian?
Sì, lo sono.
Cool, thank you.
Prego.
Moving along, go through the pipe, back to the castle where the first door is now locked, into the next door and down the pipe, and in the next area this person says they were most interested in the Aborigines, but now want to see kangaroos too. I think they forgot to include a comma before the word too. In Australia, the Aborigines are the people who descended from the inhabitants of current-day Australia prior to Europeans showing up. For me, the better giveaway that we are in Australia was the kangaroos. So get Yoshi to Sydney, Australia, and check the map to see where the Koopas are so we can go get their items and see where the points of interest are located. Also, I am loving the fun little song for this level.
Mario is missing, but we can still have some fun. Surfing with koala bears, hey, it's time to run.
Before I break out into a full song, let's go ahead and return this stuff. At this first place, we pick a surfboard, and it asks, Australian Surf Championships held at Bondi. Bondi refers to Bondi Beach, but I think the game is actually talking about the Australian Surf Life-Saving Championships, which are also known as the Aussies. This championship was first held in Bondi Beach in 1915. The game may have goofed on this question somewhat, but I am glad I was able to return someone's stolen surfboard. How do we know it wasn't the Koopa's personal surfboard? Are we the thief now? At the next spot, we select this sheet music and the lady asks when the Opera House opened. They are referring to the Sydney Opera House, which opened in 1973. This multi-level venue is rather stunning to look at and hosts hundreds of performances annually, and it sits on Bennelong Point, jutting out into the Sydney Harbour. During its construction, I wonder if men at work performed here while men at work were working. At the third kiosk for Sydney, Australia, we pick this koala bear, and the question is, where can koala bears be found? And the answer is, only in Australia. I have to challenge this. I'm sure there are koala bears elsewhere in the world, in zoos or some other kind of captivity. Perhaps Australia is the only place where koala bears would be found out in the wild, but come on, we are kids without the internet in the early 90s. This stuff is supposed to be accurate. Anyway, back down the pipe so we can keep moving along. Next up is San Francisco. Get Yoshi there, figure out where the Koopas are. Go to this pyramid place and select the pyramid-looking thing, and the question is, when was the Transamerica Pyramid finished being built? The Transamerica Pyramid is a 48-story skyscraper and was the tallest building in San Francisco from 1972 to 2018. Kinda crazy that a Koopa stole the entire building. Some people say the building is earthquake-proof because its foundation is 9 feet of concrete and rebar. While that's cool, I think we should be careful claiming something man-made can survive any natural disaster, especially if a Koopa can just steal it. People used to say the Titanic was unsinkable too, you know. Next, we return the Coit Tower. That's 2 for 2. These San Francisco Koopas aren't messing around with spears and surfboards, they're taking entire buildings. The question is what the Coit Tower was built to honor, and the answer is the San Francisco Fire Brigade. The Coit Tower was built in the 1930s, and it was dedicated to volunteer firemen who died fighting fires. Last up in San Francisco should be the Golden Gate Bridge. The only item left from the Koopas is this horn thing, and the question is, what color is the Golden Gate Bridge? Designed in 1917 and built in 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge connecting San Francisco to Marin County. It was the longest and tallest suspension bridge in the world at the time it opened, and as you can see from the picture, it's orange. Growing up, I had a teacher explain that the Golden Gate Bridge is so large that a portion of it is always being painted, but she also said I was smart, so she might just be lying. Let's keep it going. Next pipe, then get Yoshi to come over to Tokyo. I wonder if Luigi will run into Tokyo Hotel while staying in a Tokyo hotel. Hopefully not, because right now I'm loving this song. Jump on a Koopa shell, smash him, we don't fight him. Luigi needs to recover the 3 stolen items, an orange and a lantern, and wait, who is that guy? Maybe it's Buddha or just a smiling fat guy. Hey kiosk lady, this sumo wrestler wants to marry ya. She asks about the shape of the wrestling area. Luigi says, hey lady, who do you think I am? I'm Italian, but I don't think the answer is parallelogram. Sumo wrestlers wrestle in a ring shaped like a circle. They're large and they're in charge, way stronger than Steve Urkel. Pick the orange and the kiosk lady kinda looks at you. Then she asks about the house lost by the Daibutsu. Sorry lady, I am really not sure what you mean. The answer is a tidal wave, but what is Prop 13? Daibutsu is the term for a large Buddha statue. They vary in size but are larger than a Pikachu. That's all I have to say about that. Now let's look at the map. Bring Luigi, Yoshi, and the lantern to where the kiosk lady's at. What lights the pagoda temple path? She wants the answer. Rudolph's nose, candles, no, the answer is red lanterns. Sensoji Temple located in Tokyo, Japan. Millions visit every year, but we are done with this land. Back to the castle and the music still has me entranced. And the next place we go to is Paris, France. In the 8, 16, and 64-bit eras, Mario seemed to get all the action, but we are going to give Luigi his due. When we come back, we are going to continue Luigi's adventure across the world. I'll see you next time for part 2.